Welcome back to the channel, guys. This week's episode is going to be pretty cool. It's going to be a little different than my normal install and first impressions video. What we are going to be doing, as you guys have probably already guessed due to the thumbnails, we are swapping out our 6.5 inch OG Thrashin Supply pullback risers, and we are putting in 9.5 inch Thrashin Supply pullback risers. I'm doing this swap for a couple of reasons. The main reason is when I sit on my bike, and I'm going to show you what I'm talking about as I'm doing this. When I sit on my bike, the height is great, but I am reaching a little bit too far for my comfort on long distance trips. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Okay, so as I sit on my motorcycle, in this position, my back is fully straight, right? When I reach forward to grab the handlebars, you can see that. You can see that gap, right? So when I go to grab the handlebars, I'm either having to really squeeze forward to grab the handlebars to keep my back straight, or after a while to have a bend in my elbows. This is how I'm sitting. And as you can see, this isn't the greatest posture for longer trips, which I go on a lot of. So I wanted the longer risers to hopefully shoot myself up this way a couple inches, right? That way I get a little bit more bend in the arms, as well as I'm sitting upright. So that is the methodology behind the madness, and that's why we're swapping these out. To give you guys at home kind of an idea, I am 5'9", and this is obviously the 6.5 inch pullback risers with the high bend bars. So if you are looking to do a Thrashin Supply riser and bar setup, you can go ahead and go back, watch my install video of these, as well as my review of these. And you can watch this one, doesn't matter the order. But hopefully this series on Road Glide bar riser combos will help you guys make a decision based off your height, your comfort level, where exactly you want your arms. So let's get into it. The first step to doing this job is obviously pull off the handlebars, the controls, unwire everything, but I'm gonna cheat it a little bit, and I am just going to pull off my top clamp, my gauge cluster, get that out of the way to where I can take the bars off, just lay them down, because all I really need is access to the lower riser bolts. But I'm probably gonna end up having to unplug everything and do it anyways, because it's probably gonna be easier. Okay, so now that we have our gauge cluster and top clamp, I'm gonna keep the existing top clamp and just have a spare, I guess, because I don't think Rob's gonna be able to use that one anyways. So now that you got these off, the bars off, we have free access to the risers themselves. Quick and easy. Ooh, problem. Pro tip, before you start pulling off those, put the top clamp back on to keep these aligned, and it'll help you pull them off. Once you break one loose, flip the tire around and get the other side. All right, there's one with the riser. Now, once you got one out, you can flip the bike back around to take the other one out. But when you do that, you need to be extra careful. You need to keep a hand on this so it doesn't just fall off the bike. And voila, that easy. So let's go back over to the counter and let's compare them. So as you can see, the 6.5 inch with the 1 inch spacer is quite a bit smaller than the 9.5 inch. So that's what we're going to. And again, this is all in hopes that it picks up off of the tree and allows me to basically rotate my back straighter on longer distance while being able to maintain some sort of bend in my arm so my elbows don't, ache. All right, guys, welcome back. So where I left you guys off was we had the old risers off the bike and we were trying to put the new risers on. And one of the steps in doing that is making sure that the top clamp is secured to the risers. So that way you can ensure that they're nice and square on it. So anyways, here they are. 9.5 inch risers, all buttoned up. The only thing that you guys really missed was me putting the correct bolts in the bottom. And let me tell you kind of a weird nuance to this. So when you have the 6.5 inch, right? When you have the 6.5 inch risers on, and you also have the 1 inch spacers underneath it, this is something to think about, and something that I preach on this channel quite a bit, and there's a very specific reason for preaching it. So, as you see here, you have the bolt that was used to secure the 6 inch riser, or 6.5 inch riser. There's the 1 inch spacer, and then there's that, right? Well, technically with the spacer it would go like this. Okay, so you have to kind of picture the threads on this bolt start here, and on this, the threads are right at the beginning of the hole. I didn't think about this. With the 9.5 inch risers, I don't want the 1 inch spacer on there. So basically, these bolts weren't gonna work because the triple tree is not that thick, and it's called shouldering the bolt, when obviously the bolt can't thread in past this point. because as you can see on this shoulder here, it actually steps out. So the bolt can only go into here. Long story short, what I ended up having to do was rummage, and this was with my brother's help. The reason why the camera is cut is because my brother called me, and I'm just sitting here working, turn the cameras off, talking to him, FaceTiming him. And as I'm doing this, I was like, oh shit, my bolts aren't gonna work for the 9.5-inch risers. And he goes, what do you mean? They should. And I said, no, look, because of the spacers. So basically I explained all that to him, and he said, oh, well, if the threading of the bottom of the riser starts at the bottom of the riser, then all you need is your stock triple tree bolts. So I was like, oh no. So I started rummaging through old bolt piles and boxes full of bolts, and thank goodness I keep all my old hardware off this bike. So thank goodness I was able to find the stock triple tree bolts and slammed it right in. So here we are. 9.5-inch risers with the high bend bars, plenty of cable, plenty of brake line, and plenty of wiring. It puts it at 15 inches overall. So much cable, and I don't know if I'm just better at doing this, but I never remember a time before the Milwaukee 8 baggers where I could give myself an extra 3 inches of rise and not need to switch out something. Now I'm kind of cheating that a little bit, because Thrashin Supply did give me a wiring extension for the gauges. But that came with the part that I wanted anyways, so I didn't have to go out of my way, is what I'm saying, to buy any cable extensions whatsoever. Outside of the bolt mishap of me trying to figure out what bolt was gonna be best for actually securing these risers to shark bait here, the whole thing went really smooth. So as soon as, basically, if you guys remember, for you, I mean, you should remember. For me, it's been a couple hours because I had dinner with my folks, and you know, either way. But the bar was laid on the gas tank on the blanket. Basically, I just threaded one of those in, secured the top clamp to the second one, turned the wheel the other way, secured the other bolt with some blue Loctite, torqued those down to spec with this plate in place so I knew it was going to be plumb and square. Then I remounted the gauge relocation, which was super simple. Plugged the gauges back in, re-secured the controls, sat on the motorcycle, squared away my mirrors. Now, I sat on the bike with 6.5-inch risers, showed you kind of like what I was talking about with leaning forward. So let me sit on the bike now with the new setup and show you the difference. Okay guys, so whereas I was sitting on it before, remember, this is straight up and down. This is my back straight up and down again. And before, when I'd put my arms out, as you can see, the bars were much closer to me now than they were before. Whereas I was basically like this, but it was straight out. Now I got some bend in my arms. It's perfect. This is the perfect setup, in my opinion, for someone who is 5'9". And these are the tallest risers Thrashin supplies, and these are the tallest bars that Thrashin supplies. So if you're my height, which I'm the average male height, I think I'm an inch taller than the average male in the United States, do not be afraid of going with the tall stuff if you are going Thrashin Supply. Now, some of you, I'm sure, were having concerns, well, and I even brought this up in a previous video, well, if you go higher on the risers, that's gonna put my gauges even higher. Are they in the way? No, and I'll explain why. The reason why it's a no is because when Thrashin Supply sends you the gauge relocation kit, it's going to come with 2 different brackets. It's gonna come with this bracket here, and then it's gonna come with an extension bracket right here. Now that kind of gives you the option of having the gauges right up here or set back down. So whereas I raise the whole bars up 2 inches, I can also sink those gauges right back down 2 inches. So here I am, and this is about where my face is. I'm putting the camera right where my face is. But yet again, I can see all the gauges and I can see my infotainment center. So if you guys are 5'9" or slightly taller, slightly below, you know, I'd probably say 5'7" to 5'11", this is going to be perfect for you guys. And of course, if you guys have any questions regarding this setup, drop them in the comment section below or reach out in another forum. You can always hit me up on Instagram as well as at the Blacktop Diaries. But yeah, so there's shark bait in all her glory with the new risers. And I'll go ahead and straighten out the front tire. To me, it always looks best the way it goes down the road. Okay guys, we are out and about running some errands. Thought I'd take this time to give you guys my first impressions of the 9.5-inch risers. I'm telling you right now, handlebar jobs, they're not too hard, okay? They're really not. But let me tell you, it really does make a difference when you're doing handlebars and risers if you're doing it one thing at a time. So as you saw in the video, I was able to just kind of swap the risers out onto the existing top tree, and I didn't really have to worry about also doing the bars and cutting the bezel. I think the whole swap took me about 45 minutes, if that. But let me tell you, if you guys are 5'9" and you enjoy the straight up and down posture with your arms just slightly or your hands just slightly below your shoulders, 9.5-inch with high bend bars, can't go wrong, guys. I am loving this position. I'm loving the ergonomics of it, and I love the way I can sit back in my seat. I can already tell that my lower back is going to be much more comfortable on longer distance rides. Holy cow. So whereas before I felt like I'm hunched over, right? This one I am all the way back. There is some bend, a very nice comfortable bend in my arms. I don't feel like I have to reach for the handlebars anymore. I'm loving it. I'm telling you guys right now, if you guys are looking to do a riser bar combo on your Road Glide and you're around the average height like me, don't be afraid of the 9.5-inch. I got more than enough cable and brake line and wiring. You don't have to extend a single thing. And this specific setup is going to put you in the most comfortable position. Loving every minute of it, guys. I think the funnest part about doing the swapping these out was right where, like I said, right where my camera footage cut off. My brother called me, and so we were FaceTiming, and being the Harley mechanic that he is, he was kind of like talking to me about it as I was doing it, and with the stock tree bolts for the risers, he was like, oh yeah, those are the ones you need to use. And it was, but the whole thing was just really cool, being able to have my brother basically be in my garage working on my bike with me, which is cool because he joined the Navy when I was 13 years old. So I haven't really gotten to do anything like that with him for 23 years. Going on 24 years. Not really being able to have my big brother there. And it was a really cool moment in my garage when I had him on FaceTime. and my phone case has got it's a quad lock phone case with the magnet on the back, so I was able to just magnetize them to my little red storage rack in my garage as I'm sitting there working on the bike, having him talk me through it and all that. And it was just really cool. It was a lot like having him live here, you know, and he was just hanging out in the garage with me. So it was really nice. But anyways, as you guys can see, the 9.5-inch risers with the high bend bars with the gauge relocation kit, I'm fine tuning basically my positioning and ergonomics on the bike, and this was a much needed adjustment, and I'm over the moon. I could not be happier with how this all turned out. Yeah, I'm loving it. So again, if you guys have any comments or questions about how to do this job, or anything that I'm not thinking of off the top of my head, but something that you might have a question on, feel free to drop it in the comment section below. It's pretty great. I'm loving how clean the front end of this bike is starting to look. Not starting to look, it does look. Oh yeah, and a follow-up on the gauges. As you guys remember, when I did the gauge relocation video, I said most likely user error, and I was correct. In this gauge, with the new carbon fiber housing and the billet bezel that the housing goes into, it definitely was user error, because when I replaced these, I took the gauges off the top clamp, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna figure this out. And I just slowed down, I took my time, and I was able to fit the carbon fiber into the bezel just fine. I don't know what I was, or why I was struggling with it so bad the first time, but it is a perfect seam going all the way around it now, and it looks fantastic. So it just kind of goes to show where if you're kind of struggling with something, step back from it for a little bit, take a big deep breath, maybe sleep on it, come back in a few days and try it again. But anyways, guys, now that I've been able to take the bike out and kind of trip around town for here now about an hour I've been on this thing, I feel confident now with giving you guys my first impressions. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to watch my videos every week. I really do appreciate it. Do all the YouTube stuff, you know, like, comment, subscribe if you are subscribed. Thank you very much. And if you're not, it would be a lot cooler if you were. But like I say every episode, keep the shiny side up, the rubber side down, and I'll see you guys when I see you.